Hey everybody, it's Steve at Short Shift Garage. So today's subject is depression. No, not human depression. Engine depression, airflow depression. What is it? How do we measure it? What does it affect? So without further ado, we're going to jump over to the desktop because that's where I can show you what depression is. So hang on just a second here. There we go. All right, so here I am. I'm at, let's actually back this down. And so there's 4,745 RPM, 100% accelerator, and 100% engine load. My barometric pressure is 87.375, and my manifold absolute pressure is 85.254. I am at 100.8% volumetric efficiency. So at this point, this engine is running optimally as long as I don't change the RPM. Of course, I'm at 100% throttle, so yeah, it's going to change. So at that point, I have a vacuum, and this is in inches of water, inches in the water column, of 8.5. So that's great. My power enrichment's at 0.93, which means I've been in FA enrichment, and my EQ is 0.882. My AFR is 12.59. In this particular instance, I'm running a Stoic of 0.0701. Now, that's a good thing to note because I did change my Stoic back to stock because I found that differences in the ethanol content, it was changing here. So I just said, you know what? I can't really, every gas tank I get, I'm going to have to retune. So I said, nah. I know a safe number is at 0.0720, so that's what I put it at. So I put it back. It really didn't make much of a difference. So, but anyway, it's back to the subject. So the difference, when we talk about depression, obviously, if this is the barometric pressure, if you're standing outside, there's no reason, if everything is flowing perfectly into my engine, I should be at least at barometric pressure, but I'm not. My manifold absolute pressure is less than my barometer, and therefore I have a vacuum of 8.5. Now, if we take just these two numbers here, we ignore this for the moment, we just take these two numbers and subtract them, that difference is the depression, okay? So if I have a depression, where might I start looking for it? Well, first I want to know, is it actually affecting me? And we can see as there is more demand for air, I'm just going to go ahead and just bump this right up to, I want to get back to my 100% throttle just before I pop the throttle off. So I'm at 55,389. My barrel basically the same. My map basically the same, but my engine's asking for more air. And I can tell that because my volumetric efficiency has dropped from that 100.8 to 96.9%. And what does that due to? Well, that's due to the depression, okay? It's there, the air is there, it's just not getting all the way through the system efficiently. So now that we know more or less, got an idea of what depression is, it's a little more complex than I'm going to tell you here. And if you, please, I urge you all to go out and investigate this stuff because it's kind of an interesting subject. So, actually, it's very interesting. So what can we do to remove some of this depression? Well, and I'm going to stick to just this one. I'm not going to look at a modified engine. We'll just look at the stock engine for now because I think it gives you a more solid understanding. So I want to get my map equal to my barrel, and the only way I can do it is remove these restrictions that are causing this depression. And where would those restrictions be? Well, it could be in the way the heads flow. It could be in the way the intake manifold flows, or it could be in the way the throttle body flows, or it could be the air filters restricted. It could be, okay, there's a lot of could be's out there. So when people said a cold air intake doesn't work, well, as a cold air intake, maybe it doesn't. But if it improves airflow, but does not change depression, then it's not working, okay? It's not doing anything for you. You think that answer's right? You never know. You don't know. You have to literally do everything you can to remove this level of depression from the intake system in order to be able to determine where a cold air intake works or not, whether you get any improvement on the end of it. So, what everybody that's ever built an engine in their life for a racing application or a high performance application, what they do, everybody goes to the heads. That's a great place to start, and it's a good starting point. That's definitely, if you can increase the airflow through the heads, yeah, you're going to improve things. The next place, the intake manifold, things like port matching. Okay, so port matching can be a little bit crazy. I know a lot of people order a port matched intake manifold. I think you can get them from a couple of the different speed shops out there. But got to remember, if you order that intake manifold, it's based on a stock head. If you had head work done, especially port matching or intake and exhaust port work done, it's probably not going to match correctly. So you'll want to have the vehicle available if you're going to do your heads and intake. Whoever does that will want the vehicle so that they can accurately match the intake to the heads. Now, one other place, and this is probably the most controversial one of late anyway. There's always somebody arguing. But it's the throttle body. Okay, so throttle body airflow testing was done by Arrington on a Ford 80 millimeter, and they said it flowed 910 CFM. And you think about that, hey, I'm only pulling 519 right now. Yeah, great, that's wonderful. If I'm only pulling 519, I got plenty of headroom. Maybe. If that throttle body's ported to match your intake, and if it may be polished so that the airflow is a little bit better. Polishing is really not a big deal on a throttle body, but port matching is. So we know a stock throttle body is not port matched to your intake, especially if you've had intake work done. Maybe they cleaned up the throttle body port. Now you got to get that throttle body to match that port. Otherwise, if there's a ridge there on either side, doesn't matter whether it's a ridge on the throttle body, which is smaller, or whether the intake is smaller and the throttle body is bigger. That's a mismatch in that port. It can affect the depression. So it's got to be matched for the best results. So people will say, well, what do I get? Well, you measure your intake and you tell whoever's doing your porting to match to this intake. And in some cases, what I've done before is I'll actually make a template of the port, the intake port for the throttle body, make a template of that exactly, and I'll send it off. And that's what they'll port my throttle body to. And if they come back and say, hey, I had to go to this, then I'll take the template off the throttle body and I'll port the intake manifold to match it. But the whole goal is reducing this amount of depression, okay? And those are the three key areas. Typically, your airflow coming into your throttle body through your air tube and your air filter and stuff like that, it's not restricting it enough to affect depression. That depression's on the other side, okay? It's on the back side. So it's from the back side of the throttle body on. That's where that occurs. It doesn't occur on the front side. So if that explains it to you, now you understand why potentially a ported throttle body could help. And again, you don't know until you put it on there and you actually log data. And you see if I'm going along here and I'm staying 85, 87, 87.5, and my volumetric efficiency is at 100% all the way through the wide open throttle range, dang, I mean, I've done good. But if it's dropping off and your VE is dropping off, obviously you're not creating the same horsepower. You should be making better horsepower at this higher RPM. So that's basically it in a nutshell. If this is really confusing for you, leave me a comment. I'll try to answer it for you. I'm not going to tell you to go to ChatGPT because in a lot of cases it didn't understand the question, but once after about an hour of repeatedly finding data to feed it, it finally, oh yeah, okay, now I get what you're talking about, and it was doing the math correctly. That was weird, but yeah, I wouldn't go there for it. I don't think engine builders would either. So, but this is it. This is the depression. This is what you're trying to fix. This difference here, and obviously, there is always going to be a point in time where this difference doesn't matter. It will be at some point in time, but it's only a very short period. And as you can see, if I go down here, down to my, where do I hit 100%? So down to my 4,000 RPM range, I'm at 100% on my volumetric efficiency, and I have the correction factor is 1.01, but that doesn't factor in right at the moment. But so I'm 100.7, and just 1,000 RPM later, or approximately 1,000 RPM, I'm now at 90. I think I get all the way down to 96 at one point. Bump it. There, 96.9%. So I've lost 4% of my volumetric efficiency. We don't want to lose that. We don't want that to happen. So it's all a factor. It's all the depression factor. It's what's causing that depression that we have to clear up. Is it the heads? Is it the intake? Is it the throttle body? You are not going to know until you start making those changes. And it's going to be more prominent when you start changing camshafts. So if you go to say a Brian Tooley Racing Stage 2 cam, and your wide open throttle vacuum ends up about 11 or 12, then yeah, this factor becomes bigger. It becomes a bigger problem. It's going to stay the same, but this factor down here will change the problem accordingly. I think it's 1.5 to 2% difference. So that's significant. Anyway, let's I think that's enough for today. That's probably pretty confusing, but this is why when I come to you and say camshaft, intake, porting, all that good stuff, throttle body is important. This explains why it is. And a lot of people out there that don't get it. They don't look at it from this aspect. They look at it, oh, you don't need it because the manufacturer says it'll flow this. Well, it's not. That's not what's going on here. It's not even what we're talking about. I don't care. You could have 1100 CFM, but if that thing is not matched and ported properly, you're still going to get depression with it. Okay? All right. Let me switch back to the desktop. I'll close this guy out. There we go. Hi. So, that's what depression's all about, and that's why when we talk about ported throttle bodies, not necessarily the size of the throttle body unless it needs to be resized because of other porting that has gone on. It's not necessary that you need that much more size. It's the matching. Then that's what it's all about, making sure that the flow of air is not depressed. Because if it is, you're not making all the potential horsepower you could, because your volumetric efficiency is going to drop off. All right. Okay, guys. I'll see you probably in a couple of days. Maybe I'll have another complaint, another solution. Maybe not. Maybe we'll have a new subject. All right. Like and subscribe. You get a chance. Appreciate it. Take care. Thanks. Bye.